Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math.
Hi, I'm Sean Gannon, and this is Minute Math. And today we're going to learn about using the distributive property. I'm going to simplify each expression. So if I was given this expression, -6 times the letter A plus 8. Well, if we're using the distributive property, we see there's multiplication here from the -6 to the parenthesis to everything that's on the inside. Order of operations say we deal with what's inside the parentheses first, but we can't add these two. A plus 8, not like terms, can't add them together. But I can distribute now this multiplication. -6 times A, and -6 times A comes out to be -6A, or -6 times A, right? And then we multiply the -6 by the second number using this spacer, which is the plus sign, right? And -6 times 8 is a -48. Now, we have -6A plus a -48. Generally, it's nicer to see, to write it as a minus sign, because plus and negative is a minus. So we have -6A minus 48 as our final answer. 4 times 1 plus 9x. Again, inside the parentheses, we know we cannot add those terms. They are not like terms. And order of operations says we have to deal with what's in the parentheses first. So now we have 4 times whatever is inside these parentheses. So 4 times 1, the first one, well, 4 times 1 is just 4. The parenthesis separates the two. Now we have 4 times 9x. 4 times 9 is 36, and 4 times 9x is 36x. And there is actually our final answer. There's no way we can simplify. These are not like terms. 6 times -5n plus 7. Okay. Well, again, inside the parentheses, they're not like terms, so we cannot add them together. But we can multiply the 6 times whatever the parenthesis is. To do that, we have to distribute 6 times -5n. Comes out to be -30n. All right, 5 times 6 is 30. Keep it negative. The n is there, so 6 times -5n is -30n. Bring down that plus sign. Distribute the 6 times 7, which is 42. So now we think about, okay, how can we combine these two terms? Is there a way? And no, they are not like terms, and so actually we are done here. This is our final answer, -30n plus 42. 9m plus 10 times 2. Okay? So the times 2 is on the outside, on the right side. Well, we think about what's inside the parentheses. Can we simplify that first? The answer is no. There are no like terms here. Right? The 9m and the 10 are not like terms. We cannot add them. But the 2 is on the outside, and it's separated by multiplication. So we can distribute that 2. So what I like to do is multiply the 2 times the 9m first. That comes out to be 18m. Then we bring down that plus sign, and then 2 times the 10, which is next, is 20. Now I have 18m plus 20. Can I combine those in any ways? No, they're not like terms, and so this is our final answer. -4 minus 3n times -8. Okay, so -4 minus 3n times a -8. Well, again, let's look at our parentheses. Is there any way we can simplify that? And the answer is no. Right? They're not the like terms. So now we have multiplication on the outside with a -8. Be careful, it's not -8, it's multiplied by a -8. That -8 needs to be distributed to both parts inside the parentheses. So now we have -8 times a -4. That comes out to be a positive number, right? 2 negatives make a positive, and that positive number is 32. So we have a positive 32, right? -8 times a -4 is a positive 32. We bring down this negative. Right, I'm going to put the minus sign down here. Sorry, minus sign. Now I have -8 times 3n. Well, -8 times 3n is a 24n. Well, now I have minus a negative here, okay? Minus a negative going on. So I have 32 minus a negative 24n. We know that minusing a negative is adding a positive. So our final answer, writing it cleanly, is 32 plus 24n. And there we go. They're not like terms. We can't combine them. 8 times a negative b minus 4. And I wanted to simplify that. Well, 8, the negative b minus 4, again, are not like terms. Even though they're inside the parentheses, we can't simplify. So now I have to deal with the outside. 8 times, that's multiplication here, 8 times negative b, we need to distribute that in first. 8 times negative b is simple, just negative 8b. Now we have the minus sign that comes out, right? 8 times 4 is 32, and that's it. We cannot combine these like terms. No, they're not like terms, sorry. Can't combine them because they're not like terms. Negative 8b and 32 are not like terms, so I can't subtract them. So now we're done. That's our final answer. 1 minus 7n times 5. So 1 minus 7n times 5. So if I was given that expression, I cannot simplify what's inside the parentheses. So I have to deal with the 5 on the outside now. That's 5 times, that's multiplication. So 5 times 1 first is 5. Now the minus sign comes down, so now we have 5 times a 7n, which is 35n. And that is our final answer. They're not like terms, so we can't combine them. Negative 6 times x plus 4. Well, x plus 4 is inside the parentheses. They're not like terms, so we can't combine them. So normally parentheses comes first, can't combine it. Let's check that off. Now we have negative 6 on the outside. Multiplication. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Bring down the plus sign. Negative 6 times 4 is a negative 24. Now we want to write this cleanly. To write it cleanly, the adding a negative is the same thing as subtraction. So negative 6x minus 24 would be my final answer. They're not like terms. We can't combine them. 5 times 3m minus 6. So 5 times 3m minus 6. Well, 3m minus 6 is inside the parentheses, but they're not like terms. Can't do anything with it. So, in the multiplication on the outside, 5 times 3m comes first. 5 times 3m is 15m. Then 5 times 6 is 30. And we brought down the subtraction. So now we have 15m minus 30. They're not like terms. We cannot simplify them, so that is our final answer. Negative 6p plus 7 times a negative 4. We wanted to simplify that. Well, again, inside the parentheses, they're not like terms, cannot combine them. We have multiplication on the outside, and we have negative 4. So let's distribute the negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 6p is a positive 24p. 2 negatives make it positive, right? 2 negatives make a positive here. So now we bring down the plus sign, and now we see negative 4 times 7, which is a negative 28. Okay? But let's write this more cleanly. Adding a negative is the same thing as subtraction, so we have 24p minus 28, and that is our final answer. Those are not like terms, so we cannot combine them. 5 times b minus 1. And I wanted to simplify that. Well, b minus 1 is inside the parentheses, not like terms, nothing I can do about it. 5 is on the outside, it's being multiplied. We can distribute the 5 in. 5 times b is 5b. Subtraction comes down. 5 times 1 is 5. And that is actually our final answer. We cannot combine these. They're not like terms. X plus 9 times 5. So x plus 9 times 5. Okay? So let's simplify that. Well, x plus 9 is inside the parentheses. Great, but they're not like terms, so we can't do anything with it. So now we have to distribute the 5. Multiplication. 5 times x first is 5x. Plus side comes down, right? Plus sign comes down, and 5 times 9 is 45. And that is actually our final answer. These are not like terms, so we cannot combine them. Negative 4 times negative 8x minus 8. Okay? Now I need to simplify it. Well, I see 8x minus 8 inside the parentheses, but again, not like terms, cannot do anything about it. So now we have negative 4 on the outside, and we need to multiply that and distribute that in. Negative 4 times negative 8. Two negatives make a positive, which is 32x. Bring down the minus sign here. Now we have negative 4 times a positive 8, which is a negative 32x. But since we have a subtracting a negative, we know that's going to be a positive. So when we simplify this, all right, write it cleanly, we have 32x. And this is not an x, it's just 32, sorry. Negative 4 times 8 is positive 32, or negative 32. No x there. Plus 32. And now we have our final answer of 32x plus 32. Negative 6 times 7 plus x. Okay? 7 plus x. Well, 7 plus x, not like terms, can't combine them, even though they're in the parentheses. So now we have multiplication on the outside. So negative 6 times 7. Negative 6 times 7 comes first, and that's a negative 42. Okay? Now we have the plus sign that comes down. Negative 6 times x is a negative 6x. But we're not done. We have a plus and negative. So we can simplify that knowing that it's a subtraction sign, right? Plus and negative is just a subtraction, and that looks cleaner. So we have negative 42 minus 6x, and that is our final answer. Negative 3 times x minus 5. Now I wanted to simplify that. Well, negative 3 times x minus 5. We need to distribute the negative 3 first, multiplication. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And then we bring down this minus sign, and negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15. But now I'm subtracting a negative. Well, subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive, and that looks cleaner. So I'm going to rewrite this, right, adding a positive. So negative 3x plus 15, and that is our final answer. These are not like terms, we cannot combine them. Negative 5 times 10x plus 1. Well, the 10x plus 1, they're in the parentheses, but they're not like terms, cannot combine them. Negative 5 times x is distribute, that's multiplication. Negative 5 times 10x is negative 50x. Bring down the plus sign. Negative 5 times 1 is a negative 5. Well, now we have adding a negative, right? So adding a negative is the same thing as subtraction. So I'm going to rewrite this to look more cleanly as negative 50x minus 5, and that is our final answer. 1 plus 2v times 5. So 1 plus 2v times 5. 1 plus 2v, not like terms, they're in the parentheses, but we cannot combine them. So we take the times 5, and we have to distribute that back in. 5 times 1, or 1 times 5 in a sense, is 5. Bring down the plus sign. 5 times 2v is 10v, and that is our final answer. Okay? Because they're not like terms. You can't combine it. So this one's fairly simple. Negative 8 times 1 minus 5x. So negative 8 times 1 minus 5x. Well, 1 minus 5x is in the parentheses, not like terms. Can't combine them. So negative 8 is on the outside. So negative 8 times 1. Negative 8 times 1 comes first is negative 8, right? Now we have the minus sign. Now we have to distribute. So minus comes down. Distribute negative 8 times 5. Negative 8 times 5 is a negative 40. And we bring down the x. So negative 8 times 5x is negative 40x. But now we have subtracting a negative. We need to make that look cleaner. So the negative 8 comes down. Subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive, right? So we have plus 40x, and that is our final answer. Negative 7 times 5k minus 4. Well, I want to distribute that. So negative 7 times 5k, negative 7 times 5, okay, it comes out to be a negative 35k. We bring down the minus sign. So now we have negative 7 times positive 4 is negative 28. Well, subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. So let's make it look cleaner here. Negative 35 plus 28. That is our final answer. They are not like terms. Negative 5 times 7a minus 6. Well, 7a minus 6, not like terms. They're in parentheses, but they're not like terms. Cannot combine them. So I have the multiplication on the outside. Well, negative 5 times 7a is a negative 35a. The subtraction sign comes down now. Now we distribute the negative 5 times 6, which is a negative 30. Okay? So negative 35a minus a negative 30. Subtracting a negative, same thing as adding a positive. Okay? So we have negative 35a plus a positive 30. Let's just make that look nicer. So negative 35a plus 30. And that is our final answer. They are not like terms. We cannot combine them. 5 times n plus 6. So 5 times n plus 6. Well, n plus 6 is not, there's no like terms inside the parentheses. Can't do anything about it. Can't combine them. But a multiplication on the outside, 5 times n, I can do something about, and that's 5 times n, which is 5n. Bring down the plus sign here, fairly simple. 5 times 6 is next. We're distributing that 5 across, multiplication. 5 times 6 is 30. These are not like terms, so we're done. It's 5n plus 30, and that's our final answer. 4 times 3r minus 8. So 4 times 3r minus 8. Well, 3r minus 8 is inside the parentheses. You would think we want to deal with that first, but that would be false because they're not like terms. We cannot simplify it. We cannot combine them. We have the multiplication on the outside, so now we must use the distributive property, hence the video. 4 times 3r comes first. 4 times 3r is 12r. We bring down the subtraction sign here. So now 4 times 8 is next, and 4 times 8 is 32. And so now we're actually done. Because these are also not like terms, so we cannot combine them. And so 12r minus 32 is our final answer. 3 times 5 plus 5x. Okay? Well, 5 plus 5x is inside the parentheses, but we cannot combine them because they are not like terms. Not going to do it. Multiplication on the outside with a 3. 3 times 5 comes first. We're going to distribute, hence the title. 3 times 5 is 15. Bring down that plus sign. 3 times 5x is next, and 3 times 5x is 15x. And that is actually our final answer. These, again, are not like terms, so we cannot combine them. Fairly simple problem here. Once you know the distributive property, very simple. 1 plus 9x times, on the outside, a negative 10. Be careful. Multiply by a negative 10. We're not subtracting here. 1 plus 9x is inside the parentheses. Not like terms. Can't do anything about it. Cannot combine them. Multiplication. So now we have to distribute, right? Hence the video here. Negative 10 goes to multiply by the 1 first. Well, negative 10 times 1 is negative 10, right? Because 1 times anything is anything. Bring down that plus sign here. Now we're left with negative 10 times 9x. Well, that's pretty easy, right? Negative 90x. But now we want to make this look a little cleaner, right? Because adding a negative, same thing as subtraction. So I'm going to rewrite this to be 10, or negative 10, minus 90x. And that is our final answer. They are not like terms. We cannot combine them.
Minute Math, Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math. Minute Math, Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math. MinuteMathTutor.com.